On today's show, we're going to be in Mozambique hunting crocodiles, big man-eating crocodiles. We're with Russ Lovemore. Russ is on safari trails, Mozambique. We got our good friend Rob Roberts with us today. Rob Roberts Custom Gun Works. He probably knows more about how to make a shotgun shoot than anybody in the world. Conditions that we have to work with are totally different than what we expected. We're in the middle of the winter in Mozambique, and the river should be very, very low with lots of sandbars, but owing to unusual rain upstream, the river is really out of its banks. That's going to present a problem to us. We don't know how bad the problem's going to be because we got to get the crocodile out of the water up onto the dry land before we can shoot it. Otherwise, you're going to lose it in the river. We'll never recover it. I'm not just hunting crocodiles, I'm trying to call one. I got our brand new triple threat calling system. We got the state-of-the-art electronic caller with our built-in critter decoy and a built-in tripod for it. So I'm gonna see if I can call one. I know I can't call one to kill it because I can't call it out of this river that's out of its banks up onto the dry land. I can't do that. And I can't shoot it in the water. So actually we found a little place where there's a sliver of shallow water coming off the deep water. And we're gonna put a bait there and we'll put the caller there. And we hope we can get a big croc to come out of the deep water up into the shallow water, and we can shoot it and recover it there. So come on, we're gonna go now crocodile hunting on the Zambezi River. So we spent the first 3 days along this little sliver of water. We built a blind. We put the collar down by the bait. At one time we had 13 crocs treading water right outside this. One of them, say a medium-sized type croc, tried to come up in there, but he didn't go very far. So we learned why. There was a big croc that came up there, and he came up in that little chute several times. We could have shot him, but he didn't get far enough out of the water for us to evaluate him. He looked big to me, and he was right up to the collar. So, you know, I think we probably should have shot that croc, but Russ couldn't tell us exactly how big he was, so we didn't shoot him. But we spent 3 days doing that. And the last day we was there, the crocs didn't come, so they must have moved on. Apparently they move around a lot. Okay, we spent 3 days in this blind, and even though we didn't get a croc, we've seen a lot of wild Africa. No crocs have come, but like I say, the wind's blowing real hard, making a lot of waves. Well, that makes a difference or not, I don't know, but we're gonna move and go get in a boat and go up some channels where they normally hunt crocs. So we'll see. We're on about plan A, B, C, and we're on plan D.
This segment was brought to you by Stoger. Works as hard as you do. Closed captioning provided by Fatal Shot Chokes. One choke, all loads.
Okay, on the way back out to the river, the wind's blowing really hard. You can see how rough it is, and the first thing we run into is a couple of, they call them poachers, fishermen. That part of the Zambezi River was always famous for tiger fishing. And Russ told us that at one time in the past, they didn't worry too much about hunting. They could sell enough tiger fishing safaris, you know, to operate their camp off of. But now there's hardly any tiger fish left in that river. This is a no fishing zone where we're hunting. There's not supposed to be any fishermen in there.
Uzumbu se kulipira 8 million. Yano mara mkulamba mchilimbila mwana mchapele sauti makora boneseni njala. Yakusaya kufa.
Russ would stop all those fishermen when he could. It'd usually be some kids. And I heard him say one time, he said, well, I could make them go home, but their parents would turn around and send them right back. And so if that's the only way you got to make money, they gonna fish out there, and they somewhat tolerant of them, even though I do believe all that boat fishing activity was hurting our croc hunting. Well, soon we leave the poachers and Russ gets through harassing them, which does absolutely no good. Next thing we do, we run into Rob with the croc that you just killed. That's you, croc number 2. Yeah. And they were coming out, headed back to the camp. We were going in there basically where they had been hunting and run into Rob and with a croc in the boat.
Yeah, I thought you was going to say poacher, so I appreciate that.
Well, you had killed a croc already.
Yeah, we basically went in and we found a huge body, and I mean, he was one of those that were just across the back. He was really, really huge, and once again we put us another stalk and crawled and got up through the mud, and it was really a lot of fun. We had actually found there were several crocs laying on top of each other. You know, they were full. They had wore bait out, and they were full, and so it was we had to wait it out a little bit for the other crocs to get off the big one, you know, and finally they moved out of the way, and he presented the shot.
Go again. Again. Well done. That is great. You've got an excellent shot. Wasn't this just fun, huh?
So now we're gonna go around and try to see if we can set up our bait. We're still into bait hunting now. Set up our bait, build a blind across the channel. And it don't take them no time to build a blind. Put the bait out, get ready to do it one more time. Okay, so same song, different verse. We put up all that stuff. We played the sounds. We got the bait out. Here comes a croc in the water. Croc swim up there, but we just can't get them to get out of the water. They're not going to come up there on the bank and eat that bait. So we do that for the rest of the afternoon, and we head on back into camp. Coming to the end of day 3, crocodile hunting. We've seen a lot of crocodiles. We hadn't killed one of them yet. So last couple of days, our luck's been, if it weren't for bad luck, we'd have no luck at all. We found crocodiles, we built blinds, we put out bait, we've called. I guess these crocodiles are just not hungry. I don't know, but I have a theory about hunting. I tried to figure hunting out for years and years, and I finally figured out I wasn't going to figure hunting out. So if you stay out here long enough, the zigs and zags will cross at some point. And that's my theory about hunting in general. Russ had told the skinner not to open up any of these crocs until we were there to film it, because we wanted to see what was on the inside of them. We had heard that a high percentage of the crocs over there would contain human remains. Now, I talked to Russ about that, and he said I wouldn't call it a high percentage. We do find them, but it's not a high percentage. But there's no telling how many people those crocs are killing over there. So I don't know why, but somehow the skinner opened up the first croc, and we were not there. So on the next morning, we're going to open up the second croc. But in the meanwhile, the skinner had brought Rob his trophy out of the first croc he killed, and
The first croc had already pretty much digested everything. It actually had 3 big stones like this, and you can see the teeth marks and everything where he had this. His flip-flop was still in there. He didn't digest that very well.
Yeah, the flip-flop, I guess, was that. Look at those teeth marks all through both sides of that. So one would have to wonder how he got that flip-flop inside his stomach, and you probably don't want to know.
Those folks over there are really proud of their flip-flops.
Apparently so.
They wouldn't just lose them.
I don't think so, not in the belly of a croc, and he wouldn't eat it anyway. So the plan is we're going to get up and eat breakfast, and then we're going to go down. He skinned Rob's second croc the day before, but he didn't open it up, and we're going to film the opening of it. Now, why someone would eat breakfast and then open up a croc, I don't know, but that's how they laid it out, so that's what we did. So let's go down to the skinning shed and watch the opening up of this croc.
Oh my gosh.
Zambezi rib cage.
Another crawfish.
You would think they'd mess with something small like crawfish.
Wow.
Rob was bragging about how heavy it is when we get the rocks out of them.
We won't wait for it down. You know, that other one had just 3 big rock stones in it.
Rob, he's got the most. He's eaten the most of the bait, which means he was the biggest, most dominant croc.
He does.
He's got the most of the contents of the bait in his stomach, which means that he was definitely the most dominant, biggest one in that channel. So.
Brought to you by the team who forever changed the way you hunt. MOJO Outdoors.
Okay, after checking out the insides of a croc, which is interesting, we're going to head back to the river, take up calling again. So we go back out there. We go to an area where Rob or some of the staff had reported they saw a big croc, and put up a bait, put up the collar, build a blind, and sit there. One interesting thing happened while we was there. This hippo just come walking out of the water. Walked up on the bank. I bet he didn't take 10 bites of vegetation, but they mostly eat at night, and then walked back in the water and disappeared in the water. It's amazing. Those things are huge too. It's real interesting. One of the baits that we put out, we put them like right in the edge of the water and try to let a little bit of it hang down in the water so that, it gets the smell in the water, and they'll throw a few little pieces of bait out in the water to attract the crocs and everything. But these huge big catfish came up there, and they would have to jump out of the water a little bit in order to feed on the bait. And they did that for the 2 hours we sat there. If I'd had a 22, I could have had a boatload of great big catfish, We play in those water sounds, and we can attract crocs. Most any time we play those water sounds, they will come to that. But for some reason or other, they just show no interest in the bait, so that's kind of perplexing. We're getting along about day 6 of a 10-day hunt. And what we're trying to do with crocs, we are calling croc every time we set up. But we cannot call one of them up to where we can get it out of the water and shoot it. So we decide we got to go to plan B. And so we're going to do the same thing that Rob and them was going to do. We're going to see if we can spot a big croc laying on the bank. He told me something real interesting over there. When the air gets warmer than the water, the crocs come out and lay on the bank. And then when the air gets cooler than the water, they go back in the water. And they need that warmth, helps them to digest all this stuff that they've swallowed. And they don't chew it up or anything, they just swallow it, and then their stomach acid contents and whatever all that stuff is, it digests it for them. So anyway, so we've abandoned what we've been doing. I think we run into Rob and them the same day, and they tell us they've seen a big croc over in some location. So we ease around there, and we see this croc from a long way off. We don't get very close to where they said they saw him, and he is laying on the bank. And so we travel around another channel, and get our boat far from him and get out. And not only are we going to cross the island, we're going to get out and go long ways of the island. That's what keeps our boat from them. So come on, go along with us on this stalk. This will be the first croc I've ever stalked. These islands, especially along the bank, they're just thick with cane. And so actually that helped us a lot, because when we get up there to him, we're on the other side of this cane. We have to basically crawl through the cane to get out there to where we could even see the croc. But he's still laying there. And one of the most fantastic things I've ever seen, there's a baby hippo licking on the croc. Watch this shot. It's my first croc ever.
again. Perfect, but again. Again. Perfect, but again. Good deal.
Can I get up now?
You can.
Thank you, Russ.
Well, our trackers are sitting around the corner from us where we left the boat. They hear the shot, so here they come in the boat, which is good because they carry us across. I didn't want to swim across that channel with all them crocs in there, and that hippo just jumped in the water, So
Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Russ. We worked for it.
Yep.
It didn't come easy.
No, it did not.
What is this? Is this our sixth day?
It is.
Sixth day of hunting these, and there's no shortage of them here.
No, plenty.
Just
Plenty.
conditions
They
were
just-
not
yeah,
conditions were not good for us.
we go over, and then you got to thinking about, I don't know how much one of them things weigh, but they're heavy. How we gonna get that dude in a boat, But in Africa, they do everything by hand, so we just hand pick the thing up and put it over in the boat.
And 1, 2, 3. Hit. 2, 3. Hit. 1, 2, 3. Hit. 1, 2, 3.
Well, anytime you kill game in Africa, it's a cause for celebration. I mean, those people they are true hunters. They understand game management, and all that stuff. But if you kill a dangerous game, that's a real big celebration. You kill a leopard, when you get back to camp, they know before you get there. They've sent word back, you killed a leopard, you've killed a lion, you've killed a buffalo, you've killed an elephant or something like that. In this case, a croc. Because when I get back, when the boat hits the bank there, they're down there with the drums, and they're happy and they're ready, and you're a hero. That afternoon, the skinner will skin the croc, but we've got him on point now. He's not going to open it up, So the next morning, we're going to go down and open up the croc and see what's in there. We hope there's no human remains in there, but that's basically what we're looking for, But nevertheless, we open it up, and you just be amazed at what comes out of that.
Big croc. One shot, 2 crocs.
My God, what is that?
The hippo skin.
A hippo skin.
Piece of hippo, the
Fire, look at that.
So wire.
Now, we didn't put any hippo skin out there where we were at all. Where the closest hippo skin was where you guys were.
Hippo leg. Bet him
So he's the one that ate the piece of leg, the one we had the baboons and everything in it, and pieces of skin.
Yeah, but you know how far we shot this from where you were?
Well, that's exactly, and we had the foot with the bone, the skin, everything. It's exactly that.
Hey, okay. Like a China, no place.
Baboon meat. Eh?
Just shows how.
Nice food for crocodile.
It just shows how far they come.
Yeah, well, you totally, it's great.
I mean, did he smell it, or did he hear them?
This one is looking like
hippo.
No, crocodile meat.
One thing that was noted was that you and Heno, your PH, hung this bait with this big wire on it, piece of baboon, I do believe it was, several miles from where I shot this croc the day before.
And part of the hippo, we had part of a hippo skin on a leg.
And that croc from the day before to when we shot him had come that far, full of that stuff, and then crawled up on the bank and lay there until we, caught up with him and killed him. I can't explain why that would do that. You'd think if he was full, he'd have got up on the bank down where he ate all that. But nevertheless, it was amazing to see that those things could come miles in that short period of time. If you'd like to go on a real African safari in real wild Africa, you need to get a hold of Russ Lovemore. We're going to put the information on the screen for you, but the best way to get a hold of him is just go to mojooutdoors.com. Go to the TV section, scroll down to the outfitter section, scroll down, it'll give all the contact you need right there. But that's about all the time we got for today. For all of us at Mojo, I'm Terry Denman. God bless you. We'll see you again next week.
All hunts seen on Mojo TV are fair chase.